All right, what is
What's good,
going
y'all?
on,
Hayden,
everyone?
what's good? We're back.
What's going on? How is everyone doing? Blake, you could do the honors.
Oh, all right. All right, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to episode 6 of the Longball podcast. One of the last off-season episodes we'll have in the 2022-2023 off-season. Hayden and I took a couple weeks off, had a little bit of a schedule issue. We actually had a couple shows planned, I think one or two times that we had to move back. And here we are. The news has kind of been slowing down, so it's not like we missed a huge amount of to stories that we got behind on. But yeah, guys, it's February 11th, 2023. Hell, spring training games are going to be full swing in 2 weeks. I guess really the time you start seeing spring training games matter more is, about the month of March when your regular guys start playing a little bit more and some of the non-camp invites are already kind of sent away. So yeah, I'm really excited. I know that we're basically right there for basically baseball. So that's great. I'm trying to get my thoughts together, but yeah, Hayden, how you been?
Yeah, I have been doing pretty well. No major complaints. Been a very eventful and stressful week. No doubt about it. Definitely been slammed with a lot of workload and stuff. It's been quite an eventful week. So luckily all those things have been taken care of with school. Midterms are coming up, all that annoying, lovely stuff. So that's that. But yeah, baseball
Yep.
season is almost here. Pitchers and catchers
Yep.
reporting in four
Call it.
days. Spring training is, like I said, almost here. Pitchers and catchers are here in 4 days. Um, Spring training is 15 days away, just about. Obviously, most teams start the 24th. The New York Mets start the 25th. I will be at the first spring training game in Port St. Lucie. I believe it's Mets versus Astros, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I will be going there with the 7 line, and a couple of my buddies from New York are coming down. We're going to be hanging out in Port St. Lucie for a couple days there. And yeah, it's going to be a very fun time. Otherwise, yeah, things have been going well for me. No major complaints. Baseball season is on the realms. Obviously, the Super Bowl is tomorrow, and then really once that's over, it's baseball season is what everyone has their eyes on for the most part. So yeah,
2 weeks.
yes sir.
Dude, I know we said this a couple times over the offseason. Like we said, no lockout, no pandemic. Like if you get attached to something else, whether it's NHL, NBA, or the NFL season, like you're basically free agency is going to entertain you to the point where the other sport will take you within 2 weeks of the next season. Like this offseason has flown by so much faster than the last two. I think it's probably a combination of following. Maybe like I've been falling into my Hawks this year, and I've been following the NFL almost more than ever this year, and I've started betting. So I think maybe me getting in tune with other things has kind of kept me from craving baseball to almost insane rate like I was the last couple of years. But yeah, man, like off season has felt so much faster, at least in my point of view this off season. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, like you said, the fact is that you don't have a pandemic questioning it. You don't have a lockout questioning it. Um, you know, obviously, you and I are, and a lot of other, content creators are really talking baseball, all times around the year. So, I mean, really,
Mm-hmm.
did the season ever end, and was there even ever an off season for us technically? But yeah, and I will say baseball is one of the sports that has a longer season compared to a sport
Yes.
like football, basketball, hockey. It has a much longer season, so obviously, and it's a shorter off season. So, I mean, hey, listen, I'm not complaining. I love that, unless you're a casual and you get fatigued, sure, or if you're on a bad team and then you got to deal with all the way to August and September. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun next couple weeks, next couple months, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. I mean, for someone who it was like the first time in a couple years that we've had winter meetings, and that was really the qualifying offers for us nerds. That was really fun. And again, it's gotten to the point where we're kind of slowly starting to see the end of free agency, and trade talks really aren't too much of a thing yet. That'll probably start picking up over spring training. You see some trades here and there, But yeah, it was a fun, holidays with all the winter meeting buzz, and January it kind of carried over. Like we didn't have any of that the last 2 years because 2 years ago, only eating out of their pocket. And last year there was nothing was allowed. So yeah, I think we definitely took good. Dude, we're only 2 weeks away. But speaking of that, we have some news to talk about over the last week or two leading up to this show. Being that we're in episode 6 of the revamped Longball podcast. Um, Starting off with the first one, I wasn't really too aware of this signing myself. So if you want to go in more depth on it, feel free. Michael Fulmer finds a home in the North Side, going to the Cubs. Yeah, what's up with that signing? What's this do for Chicago?
Yeah, so Michael Fulmer is going to the Chicago Cubs. Obviously, he's opted out of his offer with the Detroit Tigers for 6.5 million. Yet he is going to Chicago for a year, 6.5 million. So yeah, maybe there's some sense that he just wanted to leave. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't 6.5 million. My apologies. I was confused with Andrew Chafin, who just also signed, but we'll talk about that after Michael Fulmer. Yeah, obviously Michael Fulmer, a guy
Gotcha.
who was on the market much longer than expected. I mean, we were talking all last stream. Why are no one's going out looking at Michael Fulmer and Andrew Chafin? These are guys who, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think
We
they
did
were
talk
one
about
of the
that.
best, elite guys on the market, but they're pretty decent arms, I will say. Um, so yeah, I mean, right now he's signing with the Chicago Cubs. I mean, this Cubs team has done some phenomenal things this offseason. By far I'm just trying to find the years. I'm sorry. By far are one of the most underrated teams um, when it comes to this offseason. I can't find out how long it is, but the Cubs have signed Michael Fulmer and are in an agreement on a deal, according to pretty much everybody on Twitter. How long is it? I have no idea. Literally, no one's telling me because they just care about spreading the news and who gets it first. But yeah, so Michael Fulmer is going to the Chicago Cubs. And then just recently, it's been reported about 2 hours ago that Andrew Chafin, getting on the topic of, available pitchers on the market, Andrew Chafin is signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks on a 1-year deal, 5.5 million, and has the potential to make 7.25 million with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So, yeah, obviously he was not very happy in Detroit. Like I said, he could have easily made the same amount of money in Detroit, but chose the Diamondbacks.
To go back to
Obviously both
Arizona.
teams are, yeah, obviously both teams are in an interesting spot. He's definitely bounced around the last couple, years with the A's, with the Cubs, the Tigers, and obviously all these rumors and stuff. But yeah, I mean, by far he's a very underrated arm. I mean, you don't see many guys who are consistent. You don't really see many relievers that are consistent. And for the most time, he's 32 years old. For the last couple years, he's been very consistent, and I think that's one thing that, like I said, you don't see a lot in relievers. And it's a 1-year deal. I mean, as it should be, in my opinion. But he's coming off of a great season. Just looking at some of the casual stats in ERA at 2.83, a whip of 1.17, 67 strikeouts, 64 games played overall this past season. So he was definitely going out there quite a lot, pitching. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good move for the Diamondbacks. They're definitely had an underrated offseason too. The D-backs are a team that, keep in mind, in 2021 only won like 50 something games, and then this past year they won like 70 something games. So they definitely had a big bounce back compared to
They
2021 to
were
2022. So sneaky team, the Diamondbacks. They're going after pitching. Obviously, we love Zach Gallen. He's a very elite, under the radar guy. Possibly can win Cy Young this year if anyone wants to quote that at 934. So yeah, we'll see how those go. But like I said, Michael Fulmer to the Chicago Cubs. Probably more of I don't know, maybe a number 5 starter, but also probably a bulk inning guy. A guy who could be a long reliever. So good move for the Cubs going out after pitching, and then obviously Andrew Chafin to the Arizona Diamondbacks. probably is going to be the closer. I take a strong guess.
Yeah, I would probably assume that as well. I mean, I look at Andrew Chafin. I know he was a Diamondback, I think, as of recently, of like 2019, 2020. I really like the signing for Arizona. As you said, they're in a very interesting spot where they jumped a lot in the win category last year. Like a lot of people look at Arizona as, for at least in the 2022 season, as like they were maybe the best bad team there was. Like you didn't want to see them for 4 games. They could easily split you with Bumgarner, with Gallen, and Christian Walker had a great season. Ketel Marte is really good. Seth Beer finally got some MLB time last year. Like their team isn't terrible for what it's worth. Like people are kind of putting them in the same boat as the Rockies, and I don't think they're really in the same boat. I think that Arizona was probably a tier or two ahead of them last year. What's Mitch just fly Eagles fly? Yeah, I think y'all are gonna win tomorrow. That's just my opinion though. And Santiago Rama says, "Hey guys, you say the line, Hayden."
LFGM, baby.
Yep, I cannot say that, unfortunately. But yeah, I like the signing for Arizona, a lefty who, yeah, as you said, will probably end up being a closer. And if Arizona has a good year and he's happy there for their standards, maybe he stays there for the entire season. And if he does well enough and the Diamondbacks are willing to get more prospect capital, he might play himself into a trade and be on an NLCS, NLDS, ALDS team in September and help the Diamondbacks future. So yeah, I really like this signing for both sides. Let me see. You said something about John Heyman. Would you like to see what that
Yeah,
tweet was?
quick little breaking news as of 5 minutes ago. Alex Reyes close to MLB deal with the Dodgers, a 1 year plus option. So obviously the Dodgers going after some nice pitching, some bullpen depth.
We chose a great time to go live. News is happening.
Dude, Alex Reyes, like, oh my goodness. But I mean, hey, listen. I will say with Alex Reyes, just a 30-second segment on him, because why not? Let's get off topic with Alex Reyes. Good guy when he's healthy. What is he, like 29, 26, 20, 28? New Jersey native, but he's good when he's healthy. That's essentially the thing. I mean, he didn't pitch at all last year. And yeah, otherwise, like I said, the health has just been a big deterrent for teams to go after him. Like I said, he had a phenomenal seasons in 2020 and 2021, just has not been able to stay on the mound. And that's kind of it. I mean, performance-wise, he's nasty. He has the velo. He has the mechanics. He has the metrics in favor. But just his ability to go out there has not always been there for a lot of his career. So we'll see how he goes. This will be a nice little move for the Dodgers. Chris Taylor's son.
Oh, okay. So that means he can't destroy him anymore.
True.
Do you think that this is a similar like tier move as like when the Braves picked up Nick Anderson earlier this winter, where a guy who was really good when he was healthy a couple years ago, but has added a couple of years to his arm and his age and hasn't been healthy, but as you said, when he's been on for the right price, I'm sure it's a minor league, option that can make up to more if he makes the major league rosters. Would you kind of put would you put this kind of in the same ranking? Like the Dodgers have great pitching coaches. If it works wonders. If it doesn't, he'll just spend time in Oklahoma City working with some of their prospects,
Pretty
just
much,
for depth reasons. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah. See a mixture of both.
I mean, yeah, it's at the point of the offseason where we kind of have to educate each other a little bit on moves. So yeah, Andrew Chafin, Michael Fulmer, and now Alex Reyes. This is the reliever market starting to flow again here in the month of February. You love to see that. Moving over to position players, Cesar Hernandez, the Nationals' second base shortstop, middle infield utility guy last year, was really good a couple of years ago. Is going to the hellhole in Detroit to flip some double plays with Javier Baez. I'm very surprised that he ended up here. I think he had a pretty good year for his standards in his team last year. I mean, he was a guy that was really good for Cleveland not too many years ago. And to see him end up in Detroit, I guess it's because Jonathan Scope left. He's probably the Jonathan Scope replacement. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, if it works, it works. But for the down year last year in Washington, and I don't understand why he ended up. My guess is Detroit was probably one of his only offers. So yeah, I mean, do you have anything you would like to add to this
Yeah,
signing as someone who faced him 20 times?
yeah, it's nice little move for the Tigers considering the position they're in. Great base hit guy. Great, nice contact. He'll give you singles. Good table setter. He's not going to be hitting 10 home runs or anything like that, especially in Comerica Park. Well, actually, no, they moved to the fences, so maybe. But, yeah, he's a great contact, table setter,
Finally.
base hit, single guy. Could pull some balls down the line. So I think it's a nice little move for the Tigers. Kind of upsetting this, offseason for the Tigers. You really thought they would have been aggressive on the market, and this is kind of their big, offseason move. I mean, yeah, they traded away Gregory Soto for the two Phillies bench players. I forgot their name off the top of my head. Yeah, those two guys. And then
Vierling was
it was
one,
like
I believe. Vierling
and someone else, whatever. So yeah, I mean those
wasn't
are
Garrett Stubbs. Who was it?
It was Verling and I'm gonna go to players. Verling and Nick Maton. So yeah, I mean
that's right.
You got
Maton.
3 new guys this offseason for the Tigers. So, especially you saw last offseason, they went out and got Baez and they paid all this money. And then it's kind of like, all right, well, we're good for now. Maybe, maybe they are more relying on their prospects. Obviously, I know Casey Mize is hurt. He'll be coming back. But obviously, you have guys like Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, who, I really think Riley Green is really going to blow up this year. I really think he's going to have a phenomenal season. Great defensively, I will say. Put up average numbers last year, literally 100 OPS plus, which is league average. But yeah, with that said, Cesar Hernandez to the Tigers. Nice little move for them. Like I said, good table setter. Could be a decent leadoff hitter. So yeah, we'll see how that goes for them.
I lost a lot of faith in the Tigers last year. For all the moves they made, they all blew up in their face. Javier Baez was terrible. Erod, Rodriguez, the guy that got from Boston, he went MIA on them in the middle of the year. Casey Mize looked pretty good, but I mean, guys like Riley Green and Torkelson were terrible. Like Miguel Cabrera was one of their only All-Stars. He might have been their only All-Star. I mean, I think it was Gregory Soto. Gregory Soto's not on the team anymore. He gave that team a lot of scares. He was just a guy on a bad team that had to be put on the roster based on what he did. And yeah, I feel bad for Miguel Cabrera being that they're finally moving in the Comerica Park fences. During his prime, dude couldn't hit a ball out for many parts of the year because of the dimensions there. So yeah,
Right.
We'll see how this move pans out. Hopefully it's a little bit better than some of their signings the last 2 years. Question from Robert Manfred himself, of course. A topic that we're actually going to get into later, so we'll jump to it right now. Yeah, should MLB expand into more cities? Hayden actually had a pre-show topic on that. So
Yeah, that's ironic, of course. Mr. Rob Manfred, the commissioner, brings that up. Give me 1 second.
Great guy.
Pull up. Oh, of course. Listen, if you can give me an internship, that'd be great, bro.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, obviously MLB expansion talks are heating up. Obviously on the Athletic, on the website, Jim Bowden, just a couple days ago on February 7th, released an article that discussed his proposed realignment of the divisions if MLB were to add 2 more teams to baseball. So it'd be from 30 to 32. And I think it looks really interesting. If you don't mind, I share my screen. So those watching
can see the alignment you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's interesting if you just want to share that and I could kind of go over it. So obviously you start off Jim Bowden's proposed realignment. So obviously you have the Boston Red Sox, the Mets, the Yankees, and the Phillies in the East.
That's toxic as hell.
Yeah, that's going to be a very dangerous division, no doubt about it. Obviously, animosity will be there for real. So that's interesting. You go to the North Division, you have the Reds, Guardians, Tigers, and Blue Jays. So interesting
Hmm.
division, obviously, right now. I mean, probably Blue Jays, Guardians definitely will be fighting for that. Reds are kind of slowing, and Tigers are looking good 2-3 years down the line. So another interesting one. The Mid Atlantic, which is kind of the DC metropolitan area to a sense. You have the Baltimore Orioles, Pittsburgh Pirates, Washington Nationals, and then the Charlotte team as an expansion team. So you would create a team in Charlotte, North Carolina, a city that,
Ooh.
in my
Yeah.
opinion, is definitely deserving of a baseball team.
Mm.
I actually did my first ever video on YouTube was actually MLB expansion teams, and Charlotte was one of the 5 that I did include. So if you guys want, definitely go to my channel and watch that video. It was my first ever video, and it was pretty embarrassing now that I watch it back. But yeah, going into the Southeast, another interesting division, you have the Atlanta Braves, the Miami Marlins, the Tampa Bay Rays, and then Nashville as an expansion team, a city that, in my opinion, is deserving of an MLB franchise. They do great with tourism. Obviously, I mean, the state of Tennessee has other sports teams, football, hockey. I don't believe
The
they have a
Grizzlies are
basketball.
like 2 hours west in
Oh, yes, they
Memphis.
are in Memphis. Yeah, that's the thing. You have Memphis Grizzlies, Tennessee Titans, and then Nashville Predators, I believe. So yeah, that's another interesting division. And then looking at the other conference. So obviously, what I just went over would be the East Conference. Now going into the West Conference, looking at the
Mm.
Midwest, you would have the Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, Milwaukee Brewers, Minnesota Twins. Makes sense. All geographically near each other. The two Chicago teams are what? 15-minute drive apart, just about 20-minute drive apart.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, where the Brewers play, is what? 30 minutes, 45 minutes north of Chicago.
Pretty
Then you have
much, yeah.
Minnesota. Then you have Minnesota,
Which
which
is
is
a
a little bit more
neighboring state.
farther out of the way, but in the neighboring state of Minnesota.
Hmm.
So yeah, obviously taking a dive into the Southwest, an interesting division. This was actually the one that kind of caught my eye, and that is the Astros, the Royals, Cardinals, and Rangers.
Texas and
So
Missouri.
yeah, so obviously those are 2 little ones. Interesting. Going over to the Pacific Coast, so essentially the state of California and a little bit north and Colorado. You have the Rockies, the Athletics, Mariners, and Giants.
Mm.
Mariners fans would love that because they would probably win the division for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Then obviously with our last and final, we have the West, which is the Diamondbacks, the Angels, Dodgers, and Padres. This would be a crazy division to watch. Obviously the Dodgers and Padres with each other, but of course the crosstown rivals of the Angels. If they eventually get competitive, that would be crazy. And then the Diamondbacks, who are on the rise, maybe 2-3 years within now. So yeah, this is very interesting. I mean, obviously some big takeaways is for the East Conference. The East, that would be insane with the rivalries there. Obviously, the 2 expansion teams in Charlotte and Nashville. Unfortunately, the Western Conference would not get any. But yeah, that's kind of the proposed realignment.
The only negative takeaway I see on this is it breaks up a lot of rivals that you probably don't want to disband. Like you see the Dodgers and the Giants are not in the same division. I don't know how that would bode well for baseball, having those type of teams get broken up. I do like the idea of the Yankees and the Mets being in the same division. As a Braves fan, maybe I have a little bit of bias in me thinking that Nashville and Charlotte would not be as successful. I think maybe you could definitely put a franchise in one of those cities. I don't think they do both, just because on how deeply rooted the Braves are in those cities already, where I think it'd be a tough kind of throwaway there at the last minute to try to put a team in. If they did end up putting a team out west instead of Nashville and Charlotte, let's say they put one in one of those cities, what's a city you could see them maybe? Portland? Oh, yeah. Actually, I would like
Portland,
that.
Oregon. I don't believe Oregon has a professional sport. Correct me if I'm
Just
wrong.
the
I would say
Blazers.
Oregon.
They have the
kind of hard out.
And a soccer
yeah,
team. That's
yeah.
it.
I was gonna say it's kind of hard with that West. I mean, you look at states like Idaho, Wyoming, very low populated, money-wise, revenue would not do well, attendance-wise would not do well. I mean, what, like Boise, Idaho, Cheyenne, Wyoming. I mean, those are just not going to work out. I mean, Albuquerque, New Mexico, those are just not going to work out. I think it has to be, obviously, when looking at teams for expansion, you have to focus on, obviously, the state's needs. So obviously, whether that's the population, the geographic area, the revenue, the increase in GDP in the state, there's a lot of things. So yeah,
I guess Vegas, you'd have to put in that hat as well, right? If the A's are still going to be the Oakland Athletics.
Vegas, okay, yeah, that's true. So I agree with you on that. If the A's do stay in Oakland, which would be a nightmare for Athletics fans, then yeah, I would say Las Vegas deserves a team over Portland, of course. But yeah.
Well, I do like the idea of having like a Portland, Seattle, Oakland, Northwestern.
Yeah.
A line that cuts through all of them. And the Giants would be right there as well, being, that they're right across the bay from one another. So it would put a lot more eyes on the Northwest. It would maybe kind of have some people from Idaho and Montana that really aren't into the sport be like, oh, well, there's all these teams right near us now, right, on the west side of town that are all professional. So I do like the idea of Portland, but yeah, as you said, with Las Vegas not having a team yet, but you saw the success the Golden Knights have had in their first 6 or 7 years in the NHL.
Raiders,
the Raiders who just moved down there, and a lot of the Oakland fans that were deeply rooted there had the chance, because from what I hear, it's not the greatest town to live in. A lot of them moved to Vegas. Yeah, a lot of them moved from Oakland to Vegas for the Raiders, and I'm sure a lot of them are also A's fans at the end of the day. And if they move to town, I think it'd be a success. But yeah, that's if the owner is gonna do what he needs to do. But as of right now, it doesn't seem that way. But yeah, I think this is an idea that would definitely put baseball in a better market space. 2 more teams, and just having the new within the league would attract some fans altogether. Because if you look at the NFL, they've had 32 teams for a while. I guess really the only major league that's expanded in the last decade was NHL with the Kraken and with the Golden Knights. MLB hasn't added a team in the 21st century, unless I'm mistaken. I don't think they have.
Right?
I think
the
Diamondbacks.
The Diamondbacks and Rays, yeah.
And the Rockies were like early 90s at some point. Gio comes in and says, think New York could get another team? If so, where? Ooh, that'd be tough. Buffalo?
Yep, that's literally what I was going to say. Another city that I mentioned. You guys have to watch that video. I do mention Buffalo, spoiler alert. Yeah, I could drop it. I do mention Buffalo, little spoiler alert. But yeah, I mean, think about it. Buffalo, I mean, you have the Bills there. Very passionate fans. I could speak from experience.
The Sabres fans are like that too, right?
Yeah, and you have the Sabres. Obviously, you have the AAA, whatever they are, Buffalo Bisons. And they get a pretty good attendance, obviously, in 2020 and a little bit of 2021 due to the restrictions. Obviously, the Blue Jays played in Buffalo, and a lot of the Blue Jays fans showed up, and some New Yorkers that were in the nearby area, Western New York. So could also create a nice little rivalry. Obviously, there's no other team in Canada, unfortunately, at this moment. Besides, I would like a team in Montreal. Answering your question before, another team, bring back another Montreal team. I would love to get into the whole Montreal thing one day. If I have like 20 minutes on the stream, I'm just gonna go on a rant.
That should be an all-star break show.
Because I could tell you everything about the Jeffrey Loria family and how corrupt they were, and I would love to do that. But I actually did a project on them.
The Nationals fans love their team now too.
So. Yeah, they do. But yeah, Buffalo, yeah, think about it. I mean, attendance-wise, fan-wise, that would not be an issue. They have the Bills, they have the Sabres, passionate fans. It gets cold up there. If Minnesota could do it, Buffalo can do it. Maybe it's an indoor stadium and it has like a retractable roof, maybe like Toronto does or something like that. But yeah, Buffalo definitely could be a good team. It's really nowhere else in New York. I mean, you're not going to put one in Albany. In terms of downstate, there's nowhere to put a team. I mean, you
can't put a team in Manhattan or Brooklyn either. No.
Yeah, I mean Brooklyn.
Or Jersey.
Then it'd be Jersey. But yeah, I mean, New York, I mean, none of the boroughs you have room. Long Island,
Mm-mm.
well, you got the
That's
Islanders, but
That's Mets territory. Long
no,
Island.
it is. And I was gonna say, I mean, you have the Islanders there, but that's just that they've jumped around their history with where they play in New York. But yeah, I mean, there's really nowhere else. I mean, I would say just Buffalo. I mean, Albany would be a really cruddy location. I mean, if you're going, across the state, across the river, you could do Jersey. Um, Newark. Newark's kind of shit.
And the further you go down the coastline, that's Philly's territory.
So
So
yeah, I don't really think Jersey is even in financially even looking for one. So I would say probably Buffalo.
another one that you didn't mention is maybe for another A's relocation idea that I don't think anybody's really talked about, or just a team in general. Vancouver on that side of Canada. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
instead of Portland, you go there, or maybe instead of the A's moving to Vegas, they go to Vancouver. Like I think that'd be. Now I don't see the A's owner wanting to sell to Canada if he doesn't want to sell within the United States, but I think that'd be another cool idea. And you know, you have Toronto on one side and Vancouver on the other. Because I know when the Blue Jays came to town in Seattle in September when they swept them before they saw each other in the postseason, it was like all Blue Jays fans. So they're even all the way across on the western side of uh, the country. It's all Blue Jays fans up there. So that's another one I would like to maybe discuss in the
Yeah, put
future.
some
But
in the
yeah,
chat. Put a couple
go
in the
ahead.
chat. Those are a
Buffalo,
couple.
Las Vegas. Okay. Mexico City. Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, let me put the link in there too.
Make sure you guys watch it after this stream ends.
Yeah, of course. That would be
Don't go
very
anywhere
dandy,
yet.
everyone. Yeah, wait. Give us an hour.
Give us an hour. Oof. So, we thank you, Rob Manfred, for coming in and sparking that conversation earlier on. We really appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, a couple more transactions that Hayden gets his link to kind of hint on. Zach Greinke goes back to Kansas City on another 1 year deal. A guy that I just maybe think he's done with the postseason in his career. You know, he's a little bit of a weirdo as it is, so maybe he's just not willing to pitch in October anymore. He had some runs with the Astros and with the Dodgers over the years, and you know, I think he had some in his early days with Milwaukee, but he's basically ended his career where it started. Within 15 years. I don't know how good of a year he had in Kansas City last year. I do know that he also signed a 1 year deal there last year, and he, of course, was not traded to a postseason team. He stayed in Kansas City, and yeah, he's just someone who is usually in the news with a good team for the personality he has. But last year, you didn't really hear much about him, which is granted because it was the Kansas City Royals. But
yeah, 1 year deal. I Google Zach Greinke, and first thing that comes up is Zach Greinke mentally challenged. What disease does Zach Greinke have? Interesting.
Woo! Yikes.
Yeah, no. So I mean, Zach Greinke, yeah, I mean, good ball player. Obviously, you know, he's getting up there in age. He is 39 years old. So obviously he's up there in age. He's, bounced around his team, obviously, maybe he's trying to finish off in Kansas City. You know, it's where he started. He started off in Kansas City in 2004, just about, I believe. It was the same year as David Wright. So 2004, and then maybe he's trying to. This probably would be his last year. I mean, it's not like the Royals are contending, or he's trying to win a World Series. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy who, just 2019 won a World Series ring with Houston, and then obviously last year pitched out in Kansas City. Decent
He
season.
left Kansas.
Sub
He left Houston 1 year
ERA,
too early, dude.
just about 137 innings.
He should have stayed in Houston one more year.
Pretty much. Yeah,
because
pretty much.
Does he have a World Series ring?
Yeah, nothing.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have a World Series ring, does he? I don't think so. Because he didn't with the Dodgers. He was Clayton's right-hand man for all those years, and they didn't win when he was there. And he got traded in 19, not 17. So he didn't win in Arizona. Milwaukee's never won, so not there. And he wasn't there in Kansas City. Damn! Dude's missed a couple of rings. You got to feel for the guy.
Yeah.
All I know is him and Aroldis Chapman. They're going to go crazy this year, dude. It's going to be like 2013.
try and get back into their prime. The battle of the mid.
Yeah, I can't wait for the days where Zach Greinke's going to go 7 scoreless, quality start, hang it up, and then also Chapman comes out for strikes out the side in an immaculate inning. Kansas City is going to be roaring, saying, "Who needs Mahomes and company on Sunday? We got the Royals for 6 months." So, yeah. Anyway, enough jokes. David Peralta signed a deal with the Dodgers yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. What do you like about this signing? Just depth.
Interesting move. Yeah, interesting depth move. 35 years old, so he's getting into his veteran years. But this is a guy who, I mean, just in 2019 or something, won a Silver Slugger award. Obviously, he had some pop in his at bat just a couple years ago. I mean, yeah, he's not this guy who's going to hit you, crazy amount of home runs, but 2018 he had 30. And then really ever since it's kind of been in the, dozen category just about. But, looking at a lot of his stats, decent average, decent on base percentage, decent slugging, fair OPS, pretty good OPS plus when it comes to those stats. Nice little contact, double hitter. Great with doubles, actually. The last 2 years, he's had 30 doubles each. So, definitely for the extra base hits, he's pretty good with that. But yeah, when it comes to the Dodgers, nice outfield depth. I mean, he's going to join that outfield of Chris Taylor and Thompson, I believe, also. So, their outfield and Mookie Betts, of course. Their outfield definitely, took a little bit of a fall, I guess. A couple years ago when Bellinger, kind of really stopped being an elite player. And, obviously now it's kind of been, nail on the head that he's no longer with the Chicago Cubs and he's a Los Angeles Dodger. But I mean, you know what I mean? That is a Chicago Cub. My fault. It's been a long day. I'm trying to figure out their outfield depth. So yeah, it says Mookie Betts, Chris Taylor, Thompson, and then I guess now David Peralta. I mean, I don't really think you'd see a world where you'd want to put JD Martinez in the outfield. I mean, maybe like left field for a game or two for whatever situation, but I think you would really try to avoid putting JD Martinez in the outfield. So yeah, I mean, not a horrible outfield. Mookie Betts, David Peralta, Chris Taylor. You got some good guys, and Thompson, someone named Andy Pages, and James Outman. So yeah, we'll say. And honestly, you know what? The Dodgers, they're known for that. They're known for putting these random AAA guys from Oklahoma, and then they just rake. I mean, look at it. You saw Thompson.
They bring them up when they're ready.
Pretty much. And I mean, there's been talks of maybe moving Gavin Lux to the outfield. I don't know about that, but I mean, hey, anything's possible, I guess.
I mean, I guess with the Miguel Rojas extension, maybe it's more likely you do see him have some left field reps more than anything. But yeah, I think this move is more of an assurance for them, being that they lost some of their depth. Like Cody Bellinger's gone, of course. Kevin PR, who was in their system last year, is now a Braves minor league signing, of course, former Met as well. So I think this is more of an assurance, knowing that, yeah, there might be a time where guys like Andy and James Outman struggle. Them to go back to Oklahoma City and work some kinks out. That's a guy you can throw out there. If Trace Thompson doesn't do what he did last year, which is very likely, that he maybe comes back down to earth. I don't know about that yet. I really liked what I saw out of him last year. But if he doesn't, this is a guy that can fill in. If Trace Thompson goes to the injured list or needs to go back to Oklahoma City. So, yeah, as you said, in 2019 he had 30 home runs, but that was a juice ball year. The last couple of years, I guess he's aged. He's no longer in mid-30s. He's late 30s. He's been more of a 12 to 15 home run guy. But, yeah, the Dodgers just like their depth, like most contending teams. And if they bring him up, he's only going to be ready to rake. So, yeah, maybe it's another guy to – because, they played Hanzo Robles a lot more than they wanted to last year. So, really, it's just a guy that can fill spots, is a veteran in the locker room. So, yeah, I bet you he'll see some major league time this year. And if he does, he'll do well because that's what the Dodgers do. So, yeah, I don't really think there's many other transactions to speak on. We talked about Chafin, Fulmer, Cesar, Greinke, Peralta, Andy, or Reyes, not Andy. So, Andy Reyes, that's his name. Is there any others that you want to talk on that we missed?
Nothing really big. I mean, in terms of the Mets, obviously they have sent away Khalil Lee for not doing very nice things, and they have picked it up Sam Coonrod from the Philadelphia
Mm.
Phillies as a reliever. So I guess that's one addition for the Mets, I guess, at least. If we're really getting desperate on what to talk about in terms of free agency, I know, like we were talking about, free agency's been, really kind of over with. I mean, really, a lot of the guys signed really before, you know, the new year,
This month,
and
yeah.
you don't see it that often. You see a lot of your big contract guys signing around now, but I mean, really, the only big guys you have left, I believe, are Jerks and Profar, Tyler Naquin, Frimil Reyes, Gary
Mm.
Sanchez, I believe Miguel Sano. I believe Yuli Gurriel hasn't signed yet.
Mm-mm.
Um,
He is
has Luke
not.
Voigt has Luke Voigt signed yet?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
I
So
don't
there's
think
some
he signed
guys.
yet. And then I mean, in terms of pitchers, Michael Waka,
Waka waka waka
and
waka.
that's really all I could see on this list. I mean, obviously Fulmer and Chafin have signed since that little post was made. So yeah, we'll see how I guess things go with who's going to sign left. Are there going to be any trades? Could a team like the A's or the Reds or some other teams that are in a rebuilding stage, could they make a couple trades of some other guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's some people out there, as you said, like Profar. I do expect to get signed. Yuli Gurriel. I think I've been saying this all offseason. I think the Marlins pick him up. I don't know. It might be a last minute thing, but I could see the Marlins throwing him out there for another veteran guy that's probably willing to go to Miami for last year of his career being his descendancy, and I could see that being a good 1 year thing for Miami. I could even see Profar. I would not be. Why am I stuttering so much? Holy cow! I think the Marlins will pick up either Profar or Gurriel last minute. If I were to be honest, Bauer, as you know, you didn't mention. We'll get into his topic a little bit later on. Yeah, Gary Sanchez is going to be playing in the World Baseball Classic, so he's hoping he plays really well and plays himself into a contract here, maybe in his native country. I don't know, but he'll definitely be playing Major League Ball to some level in 2023. Of course, the Twins decided to go with Christian Vasquez over him, and Mitch Garver that they've had the last couple of years. They've kind of shifted around at the catcher position. And let's see, I guess lastly, as you mentioned, pitchers, the market's kind of slim pickings. It's all these guys coming off Tommy John or, DFA pickups or minor league invites that are, 36, 37 years old just for depth, just to see if you can get innings. What's up?
Dom Smith to the Nationals. I forgot about that. That's actually an interesting move. As a Met fan, I mean, I really can give a damn about Dom Smith. He hasn't really been relevant since
2020.
really ever. Well, clown year. But yeah, Dom Smith is going to the Washington Nationals. Yeah, that was a little interesting move that we saw there. Obviously, the Mets really had no intentions on keeping Dom Smith around ahead. Really wasn't much of a need. Obviously, I mean, unfortunately, he's never really panned out to be this elite guy. He was really highly viewed prospect. Quick little storyline. Very highly viewed prospect in 2017. Got the reps in 17 and 18. 2019 came, and then this guy by the name of Pete Alonso, very elite ball player, right up there, kind of just took over his spot for the most part. And Dom Smith was a defensive adjustment guy, or tried putting him in the outfield and left field, which was disaster. Definitely some big hiccups there. And then 2020 came and he just raked, changed up his approach. I mean, he was slugging left and right, getting on base left and right, going
In
to
a
the
2 month
opposite
sample,
field.
but
No, exactly true. And then 2021 came and everyone's like, oh wow, is Dom Smith going to be like this elite guy? He could be a DH, maybe split some time with Pete at first, and he just
and then we
wasn't it.
found out there wouldn't be a DH, and you had to put him back in the outfield, and he went back to what he was over a full season.
Exactly. And then 2022 came and he was just garbage. He was just abysmal. He was unwatchable. I mean, arguably worse than Cano to an extent. And then it came to the point where the Mets, for the first time in quite some 3-4 years, they sent him down to AAA Syracuse. And then, Dom, he's definitely had an experience with the Mets. Obviously he started off, he was very overweight, had sleep apnea issues, would show up late to the ballpark, a lot of feeling very tired and I guess fatigue is the word. And then he kind of got out of that. He dropped some weight, figured out his sleeping issues, mentally got focused, but just still couldn't really ever execute as a Met. And I think it's unfortunate. One of the failed, highly viewed prospects for the Mets, and obviously, I mean, you have Pete Alonso, who is, I mean, doing a phenomenal job. I mean, so I don't really, no one cares. But yeah, so Dom Smith will probably get the first base job at with the Nationals, unless they give it to Joey Meneses, unless they do I think Joey Meneses, another guy who is very underrated.
He was behind Freddie Freeman for many years, so he was kind of stuck.
Who, Joey Meneses?
Yeah, he was in the Braves system for years. He was stuck behind.
But yeah, 30 years old. So I mean, he just made his rookie year last year, but he was hitting.
Give him the spot.
I mean, he was hitting 324 average, 13 home runs, 34 RBIs, and the small sample size that he played in 2022. So I mean, he got called up in August and did all that. So, he's first base, outfielder, DH. So I mean, maybe him and Dom could platoon a little first base, DH, maybe put him in the outfield. But in terms of Dom, yeah, probably first base, DH, nice little lefty bat. Defensively, he's pretty good, nothing too crazy. Offensively, I guess it's just, can he get back into what he's projected to do? So, little news there for Nationals fans. I guess that's one exciting thing to be if you're a DC fan.
Yeah. Not granted they did win. I mean, for the people that do feel really bad for Washington, like they did just win, 2 or 3 years ago. So I think they're okay to go into this rebuild mode, meaning that they did get the championship. And yeah, they had to say goodbye to like Harper and Soto, but they got the World Series title, and that's really all they wanted. And I'm sure they're willing to go into this rebuild knowing how good the Braves, Phillies, and Mets are right now at this point in time. 2 follow-up questions about Dom Smith before I say my thoughts. A, was he originally projected to be this top prospect, like this Mets?
He was viewed very highly. Like if you look at, let me Google MLB prospects, he was viewed very highly. Him and Ahmed Rosario, in like 2016. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Dom Smith and Ahmed Rosario were like the 2 big prospects. Like everyone's like Francisco Alvarez, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos right now. Those are the guys that everyone was talking about 5-6 years ago for the Mets. And obviously, I mean, they essentially, unfortunately, just never really were able to work out. I mean, you look at the prospect rankings for 27. Hold on. So if you look at the prospect rankings for the New York Mets in 2017, it was Ahmed Rosario 1, Dom Smith 2. Wow, yeah, I'm crazy to look at this. Jeez. Brandon 8, Pete Alonso 10, Luis Guillorme 17.
He turned out to be pretty good for you.
Patrick Mazeika. Oh, he signed with the Dodgers? I didn't know Mazeika signed with the Dodgers. Then you go ahead to 2016. He was also number 2. Number 1 was Steven Matz. So yeah, I mean, very, very interesting. You fast forward to 2018 when Dom Smith makes, his rookie, his first full year under the belt. Obviously there's talks of this guy named Pete Alonso, being called up. Obviously he debuted the next year in 2019 and really just kind of took the spot away from Dom Smith. So, but yeah, I guess to answer your question, essentially, yeah, he was this highly viewed prospect that a lot of Mets fans expected to do phenomenal things. I mean, I don't think they projected him to be
David Wright, but they
like David Wright or this Keith Hernandez first baseman, but a pretty good ball player who could hit for a 270 average, like a Matt Olson maybe type guy.
Whoa. Okay. I guess it's kind of like what Pache turned out to be for us. A guy that was supposed to be really good and never got the reps, and then when he had the chance to get the reps, he wasn't good, and now he's got shipped to Oakland for on a haul and is getting a chance out there. And maybe Dom Smith has the chance to. I mean, he's going to play a lot for a team like Washington. I guess to finally get to my point, well, also, I think it's funny that you guys played guys like Nick Plummer and others over him when he was still on the Major League roster in spring. So it shows you how far gone he was in the Mets' mind by 2022. Yeah, I think this reminds me a lot of they signed guys like Michael Franco last year that the Phillies had cast away, and he spent time in Kansas City. He was a part of the Nationals lineup pretty much every day last season. Kind of another similar move where it's like, okay, we've seen this guy in division. He wasn't really the one that he hoped he would turn out to be, but we have a roster where we can give him a spot, give him some reps, and see how it goes. And that kind of is what I'm getting out of the Dom Smith National signing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I know we talked about this pre-show, and we wanted to get into it more last show. Let's talk World Baseball Classic, dude. Who cares about the World Cup? That's boring. Everybody cares about the World Baseball Classic making its return for the first time since 2017, I want to say. It might have been 18. I'm pretty sure it was 17. It was supposed to happen over 2021, but of course the lockout pushed it back another 2 years.
COVID,
or was it
20?
Yeah, so it's been
COVID.
bumped. So does that mean it's going to happen again in like 2026? Are we going to have like a shorter break from it after this time?
Yeah,
around?
I don't know how they're going to approach that, but yeah, World Baseball Classic is coming back, obviously, from March 7th to March 21st. I think most recently, Team USA won it in 2017.
First time ever, too.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It really is. Obviously, in terms of who's playing, I mean, obviously, you have the pools. Obviously, the first round of Pool C is USA, Mexico, Colombia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. So, definitely, maybe Colombia. I don't really see Canada or Great Britain having much. But
yeah, Canada's got Jazz Chisholm. They got some of the Bahama guys because of territories. That's why some Curacao guys are playing for the Netherlands because it's their territory. So, like Kenley Jansen.
Yeah, that is fair. But in terms of Team USA, I mean, I'm rooting for Team USA.
Yes.
Why wouldn't I?
And once they get eliminated, if they do, we're going to be cheering for the team that has the most guys on the Mets or the Braves, right? To see them win an international
Pretty
ring.
much. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have 21 All-Stars and 4 MVPs on Team USA's roster. Obviously, taking a look-see at the Team USA roster behind the plate. Catcher, you have Kyle Higashioka, JT Realmuto, and Will Smith.
Oh, okay. Those are some dogs.
Taking a look at our infield, we have Big Meat Pete Alonso. When was this uploaded?
I just need Austin Riley to join Team USA, and I'll be happy. Him or Dansby. Like, give me a Brave. I know Dansby's on a current Brave, but I need Dansby or Austin Riley to be a last-minute addition to Team USA. I'm surprised they're not.
And then, in terms of the infield, you have Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Tim Anderson, Paul Goldschmidt, Trey Turner, Bobby Witt Jr., Nolan Arenado.
Ooh, Bobby.
Moving to the outfield, you have Mookie Betts, Cedric Mullins, Kyle Schwarber, Kyle Tucker, and Mike Trout. Pitchers
yet.
What happened?
No Aaron Judge yet.
Nah, not yet. Pitchers are pretty mid. Jason Adam from the Rays. I don't know him.
Oh, Ray's arm. We'll take it. We'll do some nasty stuff.
Daniel Bard.
Ew.
David Bednar, Nestor Kendall Graveman. Merrill Kelly. Clayton Kershaw. Adam Ottavino. Ryan Presley. Brooks Raley. Brady Singer. Adam Wainwright. And Devin Williams. So that's Team USA.
I know Nathan Eovaldi pulled his hat. He dropped out last minute. So
did he?
Yeah. Damn.
Right,
damn. So we need some pitchers, dude.
No Nathan Eovaldi, but yeah, the pitchers are pretty mid. In terms of the Mets, though, they will have plenty of representatives that will be at the World Baseball Classic. Obviously, you will have Pete Alonso and Team USA, McNeil, Ottavino, and Riley all 4 of those guys on Team USA. Escobar, Omar Narvaez, and Alicia Hernandez will be playing for Venezuela. And in terms of Puerto Rico, you will have Francisco Lindor and Edwin Diaz. Then, you have a couple of your prospects and minor leaguers that will be playing. Obviously, Brandon Nimmo was going to play for Team Italy, but he withdrew last minute.
He probably's like, it's not worth my time. We're not going anywhere.
Nah, yeah. And then, obviously, Carlos Correa was originally going to play, but obviously pulled out due to his wife being pretty due for labor soon, and could have also been the leg injury too. And the Twins were like, listen, if you do anything, we'll be very upset and do some things to you.
Now, one thing I do want to say, like, I understand maybe the wife being in labor thing, but he's going to be in Arizona, all around the state of Arizona every day as well, in Minnesota, playing for the Twins in spring training, if she happens to go to labor in the month of March. So I don't really understand that debate.
I mean, if he's in like Japan playing, it's easier to fly, 3-4 hours domestically than, a 6 to 10 hour flight, across the Pacific. Or
are they having a lot of games internationally? I thought it was mostly just in the States.
Let's see. I mean, it depends on what. Correa is Puerto Rican or Dominican?
Correa is Puerto Rican. He was with Lindor and Baez and all those guys.
Right, he was. Yeah, I know Yachty's going to be managing them.
That's really cool.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, you got Taiwan, Japan.
Taiwan Walker.
A lot of them are in Arizona. They are in Arizona and Florida. I don't know. Maybe it's just a distraction and like he can't pull out or something if they're doing well, which I'd imagine Team Puerto Rico is going to get pretty far. So, if they're winning and then he has to pull out, that's kind of like a douche thing to do, I guess. Obviously, it'd be a reasonable excuse, but it's just probably doesn't want to make the commitment.
Happy life.
Yeah, I mean, he probably just doesn't want to make the commitment, and I don't blame him.
Like, I know the night before the Braves won the World Series, Ray Adrianza, who was our bench bat for the last 2 years, he spent time in Washington last year too. He was great for us all season. He didn't get as many at-bats during the postseason because we had guys, but he was the guy that hit the double before Eddie Rosario hit the home run off Walker Buehler. So he did make his mark in the regular season, in spring training to make the roster, and in the postseason. Dude had to not celebrate with the team because his wife went into labor a day before, like the night of Game 6, like November 1st, and everybody was like, damn, you couldn't have waited like one day? Like, it's unfortunate. Him and Charlie Morton, I'm sure, had a beer together like a day or two later, waiting for everybody to get back to Atlanta. But yeah, it's a hard line to walk between finishing off what you and your teammates starting, but also it's your wife and your family. So happy wife, happy life. Everybody knows that saying, but also like, you've worked 180 games to get to Game 6 of the World Series, and you can't make it. Like, I'll be there first flight, red eye in the morning. I'll be drunk, but first night in the morning, like, it's just, it's I don't know. That's I guess it's easier to do, as you said, domestically, to fly from Houston to where than to fly from Japan back to Arizona, or maybe she's staying in Minneapolis still.
And just a commitment, like, if you're playing in the World Baseball Classic, I mean, you're making a commitment, and it's like if he has to pull out, then come back. Just be a hassle. Where spring training is easier.
I mean, I guess if Correa brings him to Arizona, it's very easy for him to be like, okay, let me get on the first bus ride back to the facility. My wife's going to labor in an hour. So, yeah, I understand that. So, let's look at these rosters. You talked about Team USA. I do hope they make a couple more last-minute additions, which usually seems to happen. You'll see some guys kind of roll in at the last minute. Hopefully we get a couple Rays pitchers. I would like a guy like Shane McClanahan to eat some innings for us, because you said like that pitching staff does not look great as of this point in time. So we'll have to see how that goes. Aaron Judge, I know who's his Team USA manager. He works for MLB Network. What's his name again?
He used to play.
He played for the Braves. Yeah,
Millar.
Millar? I don't think it's Millar. It's not the guy that was on Intentional Talk. It's the guy that he's on MLB Tonight a lot. We sound
Team
so
USA
unprofessional.
manager.
Is that and maybe they're
Oh,
co-managing.
Mark DeRosa.
Mark DeRosa, that's who it is. Maybe Miar is a coach of some sort. Wouldn't be surprised. He used to do Intentional Talk with Chris Rose. Yeah, I think Mark DeRosa really wants Aaron Judge. We'll see if the Yankees give it the go-ahead, because a lot of people forget sometimes teams don't like to let their players do it just because they need them to get reps. Like I know the Braves are not letting Ozzy Albies play for Team Netherlands for Curacao, and Ronald just last minute got the go-ahead to play with Venezuela. Yeah, Austin Riley and Dansby, who is, of course, not a Brave at the moment, but a lot of us still think of him as one because he has not played a single game for the Cubs yet. They have not joined Team USA, and I think those would be two guys that could definitely be part of the squad. You're giving a stank face right now. What's going on?
Oh no, I was just looking at something on Twitter.
You're like, so I was like, am I saying something politically incorrect?
Nah,
Yeah,
you're
I think
good.
that Team USA could definitely use a little bit more pitching, but I don't really know where they go get that. Like if they were to get somebody last minute, Shane McClanahan might be a guy where the Rays would be like, sure, he can. We're only going to throw him 3 innings this month anyway. Who else would you even look to?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are going to decline, especially pitchers, because they just want to focus on them and not. So that's why you get all the the cruddy pitchers, because it's you're not going to want to get guys like Walker Buehler and Garrett Cole and whoever, because they want to focus on pitching and their mechanics and spring training and working with the trainers and coaches. Than position players, obviously a much more different topic and stuff to address and practice. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's really maybe within a couple of days or so, maybe we'll see 1 or 2 more guys hop on or leave. So we'll see how things go. But yeah,
So
I
you're
mean, I'm
telling me
excited.
it's going to be a tournament of home runs?
Essentially, I mean, I don't know, the pitchers that other teams like Venezuela, Colombia, Canada, I don't know.
Mike Soroka
Sorry.
might be. I think Mike Soroka's playing for Team Canada, which I'm like, be
He's
careful, dude.
Canadian, yeah.
I'm
Oh yeah, he's
telling
come
him,
back
be
from injury.
careful. Yeah, like
And that's
he
kind of dumb. I
finally.
wouldn't. The dude who
We're
hasn't
very
pitched in
nervous.
what, 2 years, 3 years. I wouldn't. Is he going to start
August
the season for
2020.
y'all?
We would like to see how he does in spring training, but now he's going to have limited time in spring training because he's going to be balling out for Team Canada. So can't lie. I hope they get eliminated fast. So
Yeah.
we can get him back to camp because yeah, the dude tore his Achilles August 2020 against you guys, and we rushed him back in 2021 for no reason and was not ready. He re-injured his shoulder and then tore his Achilles again that summer. Walking to the clubhouse to surprise the guys, like that was just ugly. So last year we're like, we're not going to rush him this year, and if we get some minor league rehabs, cool. If he makes a postseason roster, kind of like what Luis Severino was for the Yankees going into the wild card in 2021, cool. But he got some high A starts, looked really good. Skipped Double A because it's out of state. He went from Rome, Georgia, to Gwinnett, Georgia, which is where our AAA team is. And he and Ian Anderson got to be a little bit of better friends there in Gwinnett. So they're going to be rooming again this spring training. 2 guys that are battling for that 5 spot. And yeah, he didn't look great in Gwinnett, but he didn't look terrible either. It's like, okay, well, let's have a healthy offseason. Let's work on some things, and we'll see you come February. And that's a guy that a lot of us Braves fans who do watch spring training games are going to be watching. Is how does Mike Soroka look? And yeah, now we're gonna have to wait. So I'm gonna have to be watching guys like Nick Anderson and Adeiny Hechavarria instead. So, yeah, that's something I do want to ask you though before we look at Team Dominican Republic and others that I really do want to deep dive because Team DR, they look freaking good. Like they won 2013, I want to say, and the USA beat them in the semis in 17. So there's no reason that they aren't good. But holy shit, that team looks really good. As someone, as you said, you're going to be going to Met spring training games because they're right in your backyard.
Yes.
You might as well make use of your resources. And I know that you guys have spring training games televised. We don't, but we're lucky. My mom and I have MLB TV now, and there's no blackouts for spring training. So my mom and I are able to watch Braves games on there. We play the Twins a lot. We play the Red Sox a lot. We play the Rays a lot. Those teams do broadcast their spring training games. So we're lucky that we do get to watch from their broadcast and just see what's going on with the squads. Do you like to watch the spring training games kind of religiously just to kind of figure out who's going to make the roster? Like I like that part. It's an entertaining month trying to file down who you think's going to make AAA, how the prospects look. seeing how guys come back from injury, really seeing guys like for us, it was our first time seeing Matt Olson last year. Do you watch the Mets spring training games in that same sense? Are you going to be looking at like, oh, who's this third catcher going to be, or okay, this is our fourth outfielder? Like, do you watch kind of in that sense? Okay, how does Vientos look?
Yeah. Usually in the beginning, I'm very into the whole, prospects. It's hard because a lot of it's during the day, and in the past, if I was in school or now I have classes, it can get a little hard. But no, I definitely like to follow it with in terms of the prospects. Obviously, watching a spring training game on TV could be a little boring after a while because it's like,
By the eighth inning, you don't know
after
who they are.
yeah, it's like, after the fifth inning, your number 80 and 97 are all coming out. So, um, yeah, no, it is interesting, but considering the Mets have a lot of questions for the spring training with Francisco Alvarez, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, and some other guys like Ronnie Mauricio and those prospects, it's going to be interesting to see, can they make a case for themselves? If a guy like Alvarez is just going to just go AWOL and just go off in spring training, I mean, how can you
That's
not
how
want to put him
Pablo
on the opening day
Sandoval.
roster? So,
That's
I
how the
mean,
Panda made the team for us, was just going
yeah.
bonkers in spring training that year.
So, I mean, that's, so we'll see. So the prospects are going to be keep an eye on. Joey Lucchesi, returning from Tommy John surgery. He'll see if he could try and, who knows, maybe he could try and win the fifth starter role, a long reliever role. We'll see if he can prove he's worth something. But yeah, I like to watch it for the prospects. It's good as a person who's into prospects. I'm a prospect buff. I like to, learn more about, a lot of the single A guys and double A guys who, it's kind of hard to access information on them. So it's good to it's a good opportunity. Going to the games, of course, is great. I'm going to the Mets on the 25th. I'm going to that spring training game. It will be the Mets versus the
Astros,
Marlins, actually.
Marlins. Okay.
Marlins at Mets, 6:10 start. That's great. So yeah, I will be going to that with the 7 line. So if anyone's a Mets fan, or just baseball fan, I will be there. It's gonna be a
Can we
very
hate it?
fun time. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. And then March 10th, one of my buddies who's coming out from Michigan, him and I will be going to Lakeland to see the Tigers and Yankees play March 10th, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, never been to Lakeland as a whole. So, it'll be nice to see, Tigers prospects, obviously. They're going to have a lot of big questions coming in for the Tigers, with Torkelson and Riley Green and, a lot of their other pitchers. Spencer Turnbull is going to be coming back from Tommy John, and, for Eduardo Rodriguez is going to come back into the picture, and their whole young rotation, Matt Manning, in some sort. So they have a lot of good stuff to go. So yeah, to answer your question, I do like to watch spring training games to, learn some faces of guys that could be rookies and prospects, and, if someone has something to prove.
And yeah, they get more entertaining as the month goes. Like by March 17th, your regulars are playing more often than they are February, 25th.
Right.
So I think as the month goes, you start to see your guys more and more. But yeah, like the first couple of weeks, before I get to your actually, I'll address this question first to Spongy. If you want to rewind about 20 minutes, we talked about all the best remaining free agents, and we did talk about Profar for a couple of minutes. Regarding the Phillies part, I don't think the Phillies will look at him. I think they signed enough outfielders last year as it is, and they still have Dalton Guthrie if they want like that young fourth outfielder option behind Castellanos and Schwarber and Harper, who will probably go back to the outfield by the second half next year. That's why he's doing the Tommy John, which he'll probably come back quicker than a pitcher will, of course. Or UCL. I don't know if it's exactly Tommy John. I know it's something similar. I don't know if the Phillies were going to get much more. They're complete. Like they added bullpen, which was still a little bit of an issue last year, and it just patched together during the World Series run. Guys like Dominguez and Alvarado came back to what they were before previous seasons, and they banked on that. They said, okay, Radhan, there's too many red flags for you. We're going to go out and get other guys like Craig Kimbrell, and they signed somebody for like 3 years. I'm blanking on the name. They signed another lefty from, I think it was the Diamondbacks, if I'm not mistaken. Basically right when the winter meetings was going on. So yeah,
Kyle Lewis when they traded for him?
No, there was a bullpen. Maybe they traded for Kyle Lewis, but I'm talking about a bullpen arm they signed. I know Corey Nable's
I'm not
also coming
sure.
back healthy. Well, if I looked at it, I mean, I don't want my stuff to lag. But yeah, I do know the Phillies bullpen did get a lot better. And I think Corey Nable coming back will be another good piece for them. He got injured like halfway through the season last year, and you didn't hear from him again. He was their closer for first couple months. I mean, who else? I mean, they got debatably him and Correa are the best shortstops in baseball. Trey Turner um, is going to be playing for there for the next decade plus. So you liked what you saw out of the Vegas boy last year, whose name Bryson Stott. He's going to go to second base, maybe a position where he gets a little bit more comfortable in. The Phillies defense gets a little bit better that way. And yeah, he turned around that second half last year, and I like what he's going to do. You still got Bowman Hoskins. I mean, you could maybe move on from one of them in the near future, but they did well enough to stay on the team. You got debatably the best catcher in baseball in JT Realmuto. Garrett Stubbs is not a bad backup at all. Brings some stuff from the left side of the plate. Yes, Matt Strom. Thank you. It was Matt Strom. So yeah, like
Oh,
we're Braves and Mets fans here, and we're giving you the most non-biased answer. Like I personally think the Phillies are complete. Like I don't know really who's going to DH for them. I'm guessing it's probably going to be Schwarber and Harper for most of the year if the outfield needs a little bit of help. That's why they, as you said, they got Kyle Lewis and they still got Brandon Marsh. So like yeah, they're just really good. You got Wheeler, you
yeah.
got Nola. They're banking on another good year out of Ranger Suarez. Taiwan Walker at the 4. He's going to be better than what Noah Syndergaard and what Kyle Gibson were. So yeah, the Phillies, dude, they're set. Like between his team and my team, the Braves and us, it's going to be another war to the end. And I think the Marlins got better this year too. They'll be
Yeah.
better not having to face the East 60 times a season. You know, us Mets
And
and
that's what
go ahead.
makes it more exciting is, we're not going to have to wait till the last weekend or the last 2 weeks to find out who the division champ is. It's going to be more interesting,
I don't know if that'll
considering
be the
that,
case, but
I mean, you like I said, you will not be playing the Braves, the Phillies, the Mets, the Marlins, the Nationals as much. Whether that benefits, probably, because you're going to see more cruddy teams each time of year. You'll be able to play the Athletics, the Rockies, the Pirates, all those mid teams,
yeah.
much more rather than playing the Braves 10 more extra times
I
and
like the
and the
division going down to the wire
Phillies.
though. Like that's more fun. I don't like being. I mean, a lot of teams that clinch like second week of September coast the last 2 weeks, like the Dodgers had for years, and they get eliminated by the CS at max because they've coasted and they got to turn their gears back on. The Braves. Well, I think maybe we did run out a little bit of juice at the end of last year, having a battle with the Phillies and the Mets so many times. 2021, we didn't win it to the very end, but we had only won like 90 games as a team, so we won in fresh. Everybody was healthy. We got one series at the end of the year where the bench guys got to play, and they looked good. So the team was rolling. We killed Milwaukee, upset the Dodgers with home field, and won it all. So I think there's a little bit of give and take. Like you don't want to clinch at the very end where you're drained, but you don't want to clinch too early where you just
That's
coast.
fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I think the Marlins will be better because of not having to play the East as much, and I think it'll make division games much more meaningful. Like losing 3 or 4 to the Nationals in the month of the May, you're like, oh, whatever. Like they faced our 4 and 5, and we were 1 of 16 in runners in scoring position. Whatever, we'll see them. We'll get back at it. Like we'll recover from this. No, that's gonna matter a lot more now. I do still believe in the fact that you can't win the division in April. You can lose it though. Um, but yeah, I think these division games are going to matter a lot more over the grand sense of the season than just, oh, we split with Hayden. You and I split a 4-game series in the month of August. Okay. Like, that didn't do much. It's going to matter a lot more now than what it did in
Oh
past
yeah,
years because
no, for sure.
you see each other like 6 or 7 less times. But yeah, we thank you for the question, Spongy, and you didn't get Lewis. Okay, I didn't that didn't come from me. That came from this guy. So I just kind of went along with it. I think he is in trade talks though. I think him and Max Kepler for the Twins. Those are going to be 2 outfielders that are on the market come this year. I'm pretty sure. If
Who's
Kellenick can figure
Lewis?
it out. Kyle Lewis.
Yeah, he got traded to the Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks. Oh, I thought you said Phillies.
No, or maybe I
Oh.
did. I don't know. No, it's when we were talking about the Diamondbacks. You asked like what bullpen arm they got, but
Uh,
I was naming the guys who they got.
no, I was saying the Phillies signed like Matt Strom from the Diamondbacks. That's what I was thinking of.
That's interesting then. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Diamondbacks. That was a good move for them getting Kyle Lewis though.
Yeah, it really is, honestly. I want to see what Seth Beer does for them this year, too. So, um, yeah, I guess to wrap it up on the spring training thoughts, then we'll go to Team DR, talk about Bauer and the shift changes if you want to end the show. For who I'm going to be watching come Braves spring training time, I'm going to be watching guys like Nick Anderson and Kirby Yates, two veterans that are on 1 year deals, just to see how they look, if they're going to get innings for us this year, if they look anything like them old selves, if they're old selves, if they're just going to be Gwinnett mentors for some of our very few remaining prospects. So I'll be watching guys like Kirby Yates and Nick Anderson out of the bullpen. Tyler Matzek's going to be out most of the year with Tommy John. I don't know if he'll pitch much at all. I'll be watching the new guy Lucas Lucky, who we got from the Yankees, not the Mariners. Because AJ Minter is our main lefty reliever. We liked what Dylan Lee did last year. We traded for Colby Allard back. He was with the Chris Martin deal for us back in the day. We got him back for Jake Odorizzi, 1 for 1. So I'll be watching guys like that for bullpen. Outfield wise, I'll be watching guys like Kevin PR to see how he looks. We also traded for Eli White from the Rangers. Also signed Jordan Luplow to be like our next Adam Duvall light type of player. So those are the
That's a good
outfield.
signing.
Yeah,
I
I
like
think
that signing.
we'll definitely see some of them get major league roster time because I don't think Ozuna is going to be on the team all year. Anyways, so there's going to be a roster spot opened at some point. I definitely will be watching Marcell Ozuna and just see if he's hitting 390. Otherwise, get off my team at some point, please. For reasons. Pitchers, I think pitcher I'll be watching. I'm surprised we go sign another lefty to maybe be in the fifth start conversation because right now it's Mike Soroka, it's Bryce Elder who threw a complete game for us last year. Looks really good down the stretch. If Ian Anderson can figure it out, of course we traded Kyle Muller to the A's. Yanoa, who we've had starts, he's going to be getting Tommy John this year. I think they'll probably move him back to a reliever role in the future. Makes the most sense for him. He's only a 3-pitch guy. So yeah, fifth start will be up for grabs for us. Catchers is pretty much set. It's d'Arnaud and Murphy. I mean, all our catching prospects are gone. Langoliers, Contreras, Alex Jackson, his ass, and Jonathan Morales went back to the Mexican leagues.
I wouldn't be surprised
Go
if
ahead.
you guys tried to trade Travis d'Arnaud.
Well, I don't think
Just
so.
because I think it's more so is he gonna be willing to be this backup catcher? You know, he went from being an everyday catcher and now he's gonna be pushed this backup catcher. And I get it.
Which
I
is a
mean,
lot
hey,
too,
it'd be
though.
great. It'd be great to have a backup catcher who has the caliber of play and offensively and defensively as Travis d'Arnaud. Maybe you look at some other alternate catchers around the league, Tomas Nido, Garrett Stubbs, who are I guess not as up to par as your alternate catcher. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it'd be a little interesting if you wanted to get something you could wiggle them in, be a little package.
Well, I think the plan is it helps them stay more fresh. Like they're fine. Like they're fine playing DH. I think there's probably going to be the case at the beginning of the year. They'll probably give Jordan Luplow and Marcell Ozuna some bats at the DH position, and if that doesn't work out, they'll probably split it with Murphy and d'Arnaud. I really think the Murphy trade was a lot of when Trey Turner came back to the division and how bad we were at throwing out guys the last couple of years. It didn't help when you had guys like Kenley Jansen out of your bullpen, not being able to throw out a single person with d'Arnaud back there. So yeah, I do think Contreras was a better fit at the DH position with Murphy at your full time catcher because Contreras had like 20 home runs last year and 300 at bats and had a higher OPS, was just a better barreler than what d'Arnaud was. d'Arnaud's more of a 780 OPS. He'll find holes. He'll be an RBI machine, but he's not this big bopper you have at the DH position that Contreras was for us last year. Now with the Brewers, of course, in that trade. But yeah, I guess the last thing I'll be looking at is the shortstop competition for us. Arcia is probably the opening day favorite with Grissom behind him. But we've also signed some guys. Like we signed Hoy Park from the Pirates. He'll be in the conversation. Adani Echeverria we signed, who of course has had days with the Braves and the Mets. Ira Adrianza, who I spoke about earlier, he's still here. We still got prospect Brendan Shoemake, who's faded the last couple years after COVID. He's battled some injuries, but we're going to be looking to see how he does. So we got depth at the shortstop position, which I'm happy about. If Arcia goes down or if Grissom doesn't look great this year, which I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't look great this year at all, if he's just an 8 or 9 hitter hitting 230. We got some guys that can help in the short term. So yeah, that's definitely. I like the spring training games are during the day because I can focus on that while doing something else and watch basketball, hockey, or football in the night hour. So yeah, or if I'm MLB Network might have like a Dodgers game on in Arizona, come 6 p.m. local time for them. So yeah, that's what I'll be looking at for sure. To round things out, uh, back to World Baseball Classic. Team Dominican Republic looks stacked, dude. Do you have the roster pulled up by any chance? Because man, phew.
I do not. I know Marte's on it though. Starling Marte, I think was. No, he's not because the leg.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, if you
Team.
could.
I hope I
I
don't
gotta.
lag. You let me know if I do.
Yeah, I got you.
Dominican team. We thank you guys if you're still watching at this point in time. Or do by this point. Team Dominican Republic. I think it's better than the last show we did. We had like a 45-minute show where we didn't really talk about much. Let's see. It won't pull up. It keeps bringing me back to Bing. That is not what I want. Head coach is or manager for whatever. Oh, that's the national team for soccer. Never mind. That's not what I want. Team MLB. Let's see. All right, here's the list of guys. Let me mute the tab just to make sure there's no audio. Catchers, they got Francisco Mejia and Gary Sanchez. So Gary Sanchez, he's going to be helping to do a lot for the team to make sure he gets a major league spot this upcoming season. Am I lagging a little bit? You let me know.
Yeah, I could take over if you want.
Am I lagging, Pete?
Yeah. Here.
I can
So
share
yeah,
screen then, so you can see.
So yeah, catchers, we have Francisco Mejia and Gary Sanchez. Obviously, Gary Sanchez is still a free agent, so that'll be kind of unique to see. Going into our infield, you'll have Willie Adames, Robinson Cano, Rafael Devers, Wander Franco, Vlad Jr., Manny Machado, Ketel Marte, Jeremy Pena, and Gene Segura. Taking a little dive into the outfield, you have Teoscar Hernandez, Eloy Jimenez, Julio Rodriguez, and Juan Soto. In terms of your DH, you have Nelson Cruz. In terms of the pitchers, you have 20, so you're loaded. Brian Abreu, Sandy Alcantara, Ronald Blanco, Janes Cabrera, Diego Castillo, Runzi Contreras, Johnny Cueto, Aniel De Los Santos, Camilo Doval, Carlos Estevez, Luis Garcia, Yimi Garcia, Hector Neris, Christian Javier, Jose Leclerc, Gregory Soto, Cesar Valdez, Yo Pampas.
Good team.
I don't know. So yeah, they're
Piamps.
And then Harlan Garcia. So yeah, you're I don't really know many of those pitchers, but like I said, I'd expected, usually you don't throw your elite caliber pitchers out there because they got to dial in and work on stuff. And so yeah.
I mean, I see Sandy Alcantara, that's a dog. I see Johnny Cueto, that's a dog. Camilo Doval, that's a dog. Like, now my thing's gone away from me, which sucks. I can't finish my point for whatever reason. But I think there's a lot of very quality pitchers there. Let's see if I can go back to it real quick. Hector Neris, he's been really good the last couple of years. Jose Leclerc, Yimi Garcia, now with the Blue Jays. Christian Javier, another Astros arm that just got extended. Gregory Soto, I mean, they don't have to put him in the closer role, so that's pretty good for them. Genesis Cabrera was really, honestly, like, Hayden, this pitcher staff might be the best in the tournament from what I've seen.
Better than USA.
And the boppers on this lineup, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Dominican Republic won, if I'm being honest. With Teoscar, Eloy, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, Willie Adames, Cano, whatever. He's probably just there because of his legacy. Wander Franco is making his debut. Vlad Jr. making his debut. Manny Machado again. Ketel Marte, Jeremy Pena. Segura, of course, along with Nelson Cruz at the DH. Mejia and Gary Sanchez, who I know is going to be playing a lot. Like, dude, this team is stacked. Like, I think they might be my pick to win the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. What about you?
If it's not USA, I think I have to go to Dominican Republic. And I mean, like, being honest, I could really care less who wins. I mean, obviously, yes, as an American and Big Meat Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil fan, I would love Team USA to win. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's the earlier those guys get to camp, the better. It's not like they're playing for a ring that's going to affect the Mets or be symbolic. I guess
Well,
it's symbolic, which is whatever.
Maybe it means that you guys will start McNeil and Pete in the first couple of training games before they head off for Team USA, because I think they start like March 2nd, 4th. So maybe like when
Yeah,
you go to the game on March 25th, you'll see Pete and McNeil get 2 at bats just so they know that they're okay, and they'll be back,
February.
towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, last topic here, or I guess the second one, about Trevor Bauer. The guy who's really the biggest wild card left on the free agency market. Do you think he gets signed? And if he does, what time of year will it be? Will it be next season? Will it be a midseason qualifying offer pickup? Will it be a last minute camp invite? Because, the Dodgers are paying the full salary. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in the month of June is like, hey, we can take Trevor Bauer for 20 starts and see how he does. We've asked our locker room about it. We got a feel for our guys, and let's go get him. And if he does, where do you think he goes if you had to pick an AL or an NL spot?
Yeah, Bauer's an interesting figure. Like I said, I could easily just see him going to the small market team. I don't
Like the
really think a team
Diamondbacks,
like
being that he's in Arizona?
yeah, I just don't see a team like anywhere in New York or California. With the media that he's not gonna. He needs to go to like Kansas City or I would be surprised if he goes to a non-contending team. A 1-2 year deal. It's tough. Like I said, I think he is a liability. Just with the legality is one thing, but I just think his attitude, his clubhouse presence is a big thing, and the Dodgers weren't fond of it. And obviously there was other stuff on top of it too. And I think Bauer is gonna, pardon my language, but he's really gonna have to get his shit together.
Mm-hmm.
Or else he's just gonna be expelled from MLB. And I don't know if there's ever been a player who has been expelled from MLB. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes into the season and he's not signed, which is only gonna hurt him because he's how is he gonna keep up his baseball activities? Yeah, he's practicing in his garage in Arizona. That's great, but he needs to
Woohoo. High
be fitted
schoolers.
in with it. Yeah. Then can I walk on? I'm throwing off a mounted step. So yeah, I don't know. So it's like he needs to get with the team and start to work. I don't know. I could see him going to the KBO, the Nippon League, or like an independent league maybe.
That would
If the
not be bad
MLB
for him.
doesn't
He
work
should
out, like I
he should
said,
have done
yeah,
that last year. Like,
and he
honestly, he
should
should
have.
have done that
That
last
way
year.
it would have. I agree. That way it would have kept his performance physically in shape, and his baseball activities are currently being presumed still. So I don't know. I could see him signing like a week or two before the season starts, or maybe like over the summer and a random day that no one expects it. He signs with, I don't know, like the Royals or the Guardians, or I have no idea.
I do know that the Braves and Brian Snickers said absolutely not. So he's definitely not coming here. The Cardinals, same thing. That the integrity of that franchise. They said no.
Classic ball club, yeah, they don't want him.
The Brewers said no, and you know how good they are with pitching. So Brewers don't want him. That probably means the Cubs don't want him. The Mets said no, as you said with the New York market. Garrett Cole doesn't want him in Yankee Stadium. So a lot of the contending teams said no. So yeah, as you said, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up back in the Central, where he spent most of his career with the Reds and the Guardians, Indians at the time. I know he has some Kansas City too. But yeah, the dude. Regardless if you think he's innocent or not, like he has had some character issues even before that time. His arrogance has gotten in the way. Like he refused to go play independent ball, Japanese league, all of the above, and he expects a team just to come out here and walk out and sign him.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
I think it's going to be, if he does get signed, it'll have to be like a June 1st thing where the clubhouse is okay with it. They're willing to bring him in. And if he does, like, it's going to take, let's say they sign him June 3rd, whenever that qualifying deadline thing is where you don't have to give a first round pick. Let's say that happens. Okay. He's probably going to be ready to get to the facility and move in by like June 5th or 6th. Then you got to give him probably at least a month, some double A, some triple A starts to make sure he's ready. He's not going to be in the majors till 4th of July. So, and at that point, if you're a team that's not fully contending, what are you doing? Paying him $780,000 for 15 starts?
Yeah.
it could be a thing where he's not in the league this year. The only team that I would the only team being how their franchises run and being what their needs are right now and being his facility. The only franchise that I'm calling up Bauer to pitch for me the entire 2023 season is the Los Angeles Angels. Being that he's working out of Arizona, he can be there. The Angels can never not need a former Cy Young to pitch for them in that rotation. So I think if I'm the Angels, I'm calling up Trevor Bauer. If there was an option to say, hey, we could really use you, and we know your vlogs could maybe take back off with Otani, with Rendon, with Fletcher, with Trout, with the young guys they have there combined with the superstars that are there. I think momentum could maybe take back off with some of which I hear people don't like his vlogs quite as much. The Reds are more in tune with it than the Dodgers were. Um, so yeah, the only team I'm calling up Trevor Bauer to pitch for me for a full season, being how the Reds are, or being how the Angels are run, is Los Angeles. Being that he's probably living less than an hour away from the facility in his LA home, and he's pitching from Arizona. That's where our facility is. That's where he can get a lot of work done. Other
Mm.
than that, I'm not really taking a chance on the guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you completely. Um, yeah, I'm kind of pretty much what you said and what I said earlier.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if he gets added back to the league and he does his stuff and he stays out of trouble, cool. That's another star
Yeah.
to watch every fifth day. Like I'm completely fine with. Like I don't. If I have no hate against the guy personally. I've never met the dude, but just based on what I've heard around the league, and I get that it's looking more and more likely that he was innocent from the case that happened in spring or summer 2021. But like just the altercations that apparently him and Rachel Luba are a thing, and that's not a good look for her
From
and for
what
him as
I've
a brand.
heard, that's illegal because I know MLB has like,
Yeah.
well, not MLB, but just I mean, companies have. Forgot
Also,
the
with
term of
how
it.
she
There's a
is,
term, but
she talks about herself so highly on like
yeah,
I helped him sign this mega deal, and I'm one of the best women's agencies in the sport. Like if you look at other clients, it's what Jeanette, Yassia Puig, like pull that sexist card, but like it seems like the biggest relationship that they have is they want to UCLA, and I bet you they blinked. I hate to be that guy, but I've seen iTalk Studios. I don't know if you know who he is as a content creator. He tried reaching to the bottom of the barrel, and every person he tried reaching out to Momentum about it in his team blocked him. To believe if it was no, they could say no. So I hate the only reason that she had Bauer as a client and got this. Which, first of all, his other agent is mostly the reason he signed this deal with the Dodgers. He has two major agents, and the male agent was mostly the negotiator with the Dodgers to get that contract. Which, of
yeah.
course, the
Well,
Dodgers hate every part of it to this
the
day. But the only reason she slept with the dude, like that's just not
yeah, I
a
mean,
good
and the
representation for
issue
what she
with
tries to
that,
be.
and the issue is that MLB, and I mean, not even MLB, but just all all jobs at any level, regardless of what it is, have these consensual relationship agreements where you're not allowed to,
Beginning
I
of
guess
March.
essentially,
March.
be in a relationship. It's, I guess, yeah. I mean, you guys know what a consensual relationship agreement form is, but I mean, there's contracts in that they won't have any outside affairs or anything like that, or relationships, because it could get involved with the business aspect. If something happens or they get divorced or something, they could sue one another, and that comes back to the company and stuff like that. But obviously, this isn't really the time or place for me to talk about the legality and law part of it. I mean, as Lube is she does have a law degree, so you think she'd know a little bit better. I think she is an idiot. And they're very childish. They run around and respond to everyone's comments on TikTok and Instagram that's negative, and I'm
They're
like, bro,
soft.
you have so much time and so many followers, and you just these people live rent free in your head. Like, who cares?
Like
You know,
at
like,
the
get
end
a
of the day,
life.
I respect what they're doing. Like I respect her grind of what she's trying to accomplish, and
Yeah, I
what
respect
like
it too,
I
but
think
they're
it's
just
I,
stupid.
I think it's cool. But and what he's trying to do, try to get more youth into baseball again. But yeah, some of the backstory behind it, it's kind of a no no.
Yeah, the World Baseball Classic starts March 7th to the 21st.
Oh, it's only 2 weeks, or is that like pool play?
Oh yeah, maybe I don't know.
Well, and the MLB starts like the 29th, so probably yeah, it probably ends about a week before that, so the guys can get some games in. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Huh? I thought it started like March 2nd or 3rd. So thank you for answering
Yeah, of
that.
course.
There's your answer, Santiago. I know most of the games are on Fox this year. I know it used to be an MLB Network thing, but I think like 99% of the games are on Fox and FS1 and all those networks this year. So that'll be cool. Even though I hate their new scoreboard, that's terrible. The
Hmm.
one with the big ass bases. Ugh. So I can tell that energy is kind of fading a little bit here. More debate topic before we hang out. And we can always come back to these topics, over the next couple weeks leading into our we're probably only one episode away from starting our season grades and our
Yeah.
in our
Yeah.
2023 division predictions. So sooner than later, you and I got to hop on a call and figure out our regular season show formatting. So it's
Yeah.
exciting.
If
Let's
you
talk about
we
these official shift changes in the pitch clock.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. In terms of the shift changes in pitch clock, obviously, last year's CBA agreement pretty much said that, MLB is going to have some new rules, obviously one being the DH, and for this upcoming year with the shift changes in pitch clock. Um, for me with the shift changes, I mean personally, I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to the shifts. I support it. I don't have an issue with it. I think there should be
Yeah.
limitations, like how this is that you can only have, two guys on the dirt, maybe two guys in the grass. I agree with stuff like that. I don't think you should be having four infielders all playing between second and first, or, I don't think you should be seeing Manny Machado playing right field. I just think that's absolutely arbitrary. Um, so yeah, I mean, I kind of support the shift change to an
Mhm.
extent. I think it can make the game more exciting offensively, and it's going to help a lot of guys out, whether that's Anthony Rizzo, sure Freddie Freeman, a lot of lefties who shift a
Olson,
lot, but yeah, Matt Olson. I mean,
Gallo.
Jeff Mc, yeah, I mean, yeah, Joey Gallo's going to be a big benefit. I mean, Jeff McNeil just is an elite hitter and just beats the shift every time, but always could boost a couple extra hits in his favor. Um, so yeah, I'm a big proponent of some type of shift changes and limitations. I think it'll be better. In terms of the pitch clock, I think it'll be great to speed up the game. You and I are diehard fans. We don't necessarily care, but there's more casuals going to the games and watching the games than the diehards.
Right
And
about us.
the casuals are not going to want to sit around and sit for 3.5 hours and watch a game. I will admit it gets very, it takes a while. You have guys that are throwing a pitch and then doing their thing on the mound for like 30 seconds, and I'm like, bro, like like stop playing the game. So I think I agree. I think like a 10-15 second thing is good. Obviously, if it's a runner on base, you add or take away 5 seconds or so. But I was watching it where in the minor leagues they have a pitch clock, and it was side by side with a countdown going of MLB and the minor leagues, and in like 30 seconds, like the minor leaguers had like I think it was like three, and the major leaguers had like one, and I'm just like, like that's crazy. So I think it'll be better for the game. I wonder, is this pitch clock gonna put more pressure on the pitchers, or is it gonna put more pressure on the offense? I know the Mets. I think they asked. I want to say it was. I want to say it was Tyler McGill or someone like that. But they asked him, they're like,
Hmm.
like what are your thoughts on the pitch clock? Do you think it's gonna affect pitchers or the offense more negatively? And he's like, oh, it's gonna affect the offense. And then they asked Mark Canna, and he said it's gonna affect the pitchers. So the players are having an interesting. They're gonna have to. I don't think it's going to be a big issue, but it's definitely going to be interesting to watch and observe. But I'm definitely for both of them. And the bigger bases too, I think, is
Now,
great. They're expanding the bases a couple inches. That could easily help increase stealing bases more. We know that's kind of a dead part of the game in 2023, and the last couple of years, stealing bases has kind of been an unorthodox thing in baseball. And I think making the bases bigger will be
as a Braves
phenomenal.
fan,
Make guys steal more.
it's happened a lot. We've had
Yeah.
Travis Darno's got ran on a lot the last couple years. So yeah,
So
it's not been
yeah,
dead to us. It's with It happens.
Yeah, I mean, Darno's arm, I guess, is not the strongest, so that could be a possibility to why. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad they're going to be expanding the bases, and obviously the pitcher can only throw over to first base or to pick off so many times, so that could also affect stealing bases. So, these 3, 4 big moves are definitely going to change the game in a positive way, in my opinion.
And also Kenley, who was our closer, who had the long ass,
Yeah,
before every single pitch. Combine that with
the
Darno's arm, it was like a 95% stealing percentage. Yeah, yeah. I think what you said about the minor leagues is very true. How they are faster, and they've had those clocks in the minors for 5 or 6 years now already, where they count every single pitch. Um, One thing though that I do think is a point you have to mention is minor league games for the most part are not televised, so they're naturally gonna be faster when the talent is not quite as great, and there's no television timeouts. Every half inning, every bullpen change, so that's I think naturally part of the game as well. But yeah, I think the biggest part of it, which I think we'll probably have to learn on the fly, kind of like we did with the sticky substances and everything, is how the automatic balls and strikes are going to be. Like, is there really going to be that umpire that on the 21st second is going to call you out on strikes just because you're trying to set your foot? That's going to be. I understand, and I'm willing to see how this thing works with the pitch clocks, but dude, I don't understand them speeding up 25 minutes at
right.
max of a game is going to get more retention. It's I don't really think it will,
Eh,
cuz
yeah,
ultimately
I
there's still
mean,
bad teams in the league.
well, it helps the bad teams out because their fans don't have to watch them for an extra 20 minutes.
Yeah, like only people that are going to be thinking are the casuals that go 2 or 3 times a year with their family saying, "Man, we made great time. We can go home and have dinner." Okay. For the most part, you're still going to be there from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock, from park to entering the house. So, yeah, I'm willing to see how it works. It'll probably be a thing when we learn on the fly, but yeah, I think that it's a conversation that we're gonna have to learn more about as the season goes. We'll see. There'll definitely be some umpire moments where we're like, dude, are you serious? You're calling him out on strikes right there and losing us the game because of that, which would be, oof. The players and the catcher are gonna have to know who's behind them the whole game just to figure out how he calls things.
Yeah.
We already kind of know umpires via large zone, small zone, and whatever. But now we're gonna have to learn them via how strict they are, and players will have to adjust to that come postseason time on who's behind them at the plate that night to see if they're gonna be able to get away with anything or not. Lastly, my point on the shift. I like what you said a lot. I was more willing to adjust it and kind of make tweaks than get rid of it completely. Because I look at it this way, right? Major League Baseball is, as much as you want to think, is not an entertainment industry. This isn't the WWE. This isn't scripted for viewers. Teams were better placing their defenders to easier ways to win a ball game, and that's ultimately what
Mhm.
they're trying to do is win. They're not trying to go out there and have a home run derby and win 9-8 every night and have every 8-year-old that knows two players in the team be excited. Unfortunately, that's not the case. They're trying to win a World Series. So I did understand it to a degree, like having a guy in right field was to a degree somewhat unnecessary, but I think that they were trying to better themselves to win a game every night, which is what you want, ultimately. So we'll see. I think it helps out guys like Joey Gallo.
Big time.
But to guys like Luis Arias who are now in the division, like he's going to go 4 for 5 any given night just because he finds the hole. So I was surprised that maybe they didn't put, okay, like let's say this guy has 3 hits. Then you can place him there because that's what he's done all night. Make him do something else. Like I understand he's killed you at this point. But yeah, well, it'll be another thing. Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see come April, May, June, July, and so on, how it looks. But yeah, is there any other points you'd like to mention on the show before we come back?
Not that I could recall. I know we had a phenomenal show, hour and 45 minutes. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, but yeah, I know there's nothing really I could think of. I mean, we went over everything with free agency, World Baseball Classic, obviously new rules, possible MLB expansion. Love that topic.
Mm-hmm.
Spring
I like
training.
that too.
But yeah, no, I think a phenomenal show.
So yeah, guys, we'll probably come back within less than a week or so, depending on my schedule and Hayden's schedule. We're trying to be as consistent as possible. And we'll probably come back with one more just basic off-season show, recapping the news, maybe going over the last minute World Baseball Classic rosters once again. But the show after that, that's when things are going to get exciting. That's where we're going to have off-season grades, off-season recaps for every team, and jump right into division previews. See, just talk some real ball again, and right after that, it's World Baseball Classic and regular season baseball. So we're right there. We're one show away, really, from getting all of the labor stuff out of the way, and we're just going to be able to talk ball from there. So yeah, thanks Hayden for coming along, and we hope to see you guys
Absolutely.
again soon. You guys enjoy your Saturday night Super Bowl. Oh, who you got in the Super Bowl tomorrow? I got the Eagles.
I got Kansas City Chiefs because Pat Mahomes Senior played for the New York Mets, so that's why.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think this would be a big loss for Andy Reid. He finally got it a couple years ago, and God damn, for him to then follow it up with two more Super Bowl losses in a couple years. Mahomes is going to be 28 next year. He's no longer 25 years old.
Yeah.
For him to only have one ring at this point, with how good they've been, if they lose
Yeah.
tomorrow, it'll be interesting, especially being against his former club in Philadelphia. But yeah, I think the
I
Eagles, and I know a lot of people from hardcore listening, they're gonna like this. I don't understand how if anybody can beat them with that defense if the offense is putting up 30 points like they have been. So
I
it'll be a
think with
good
the
game though.
Chiefs, what I will say, I do think Mahomes is the better quarterback. I think he's more proven. Obviously,
Yes,
the what was it, the leg or the ankle issue he had? What was it against Cincinnati? I guess that's kind of going to be the
but now it's like
question
three
if
weeks ago.
that.
It's probably healed if anything.
Yeah, hopefully.
Eagles
So I
front
mean, yeah,
seven is nasty though. Like they had the most sacks in history of the league this year, and they had the most rushing touchdowns in the league this year. Like they're a well-oiled machine, and there's a reason that they're here.
but you think about it, Mahomes, one of the best QBs in the league. I mean, one of the they also have one of the best tight ends historically, and Travis Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Be
so
a lot of
yeah, I
tight end
mean, we'll
usage. Got
yeah.
it too.
So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of balls from Mahomes to Kelsey. So it's gonna
And
be an
Hurts to Goddard.
exciting Super Bowl. I mean, the projections are really close. Money line, the stat line. I mean, I think the Eagles are favored by like 1% extra. So it's, I mean,
Mm.
really, I mean, I'm not gonna, in terms of bets, it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be an exciting Super Bowl. I mean, last year's Super Bowl was kind of boring in my
Very
opinion.
good.
It was
Really?
who was it? It was Rams and who else?
Rams and Bengals, dude, that was an amazing Super Bowl.
Oh,
Went
my
all
fault.
the
I
way
was
down to the
thinking
end.
of
You were thinking of
Eli
Chiefs
Apple.
Bucks. That was a boring Super Bowl. Chiefs Bucks. It was over
Yeah,
before it
yeah. So
started.
those 2020 that I was thinking of. Okay, no, 20
Yeah,
2021.
last
Yeah,
year's playoffs.
2021. Yeah, 2021 when it was Chiefs and Buccaneers, Brady Mahomes. That's what I was thinking of. My fault. Yeah, last year was exciting, but Eli Apple, Eli Apple got sent to Cancun. Everyone knows the
Ah,
reference if they hate him.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Eli Apple's a crap person for that. But
You also had
yeah, no,
Dr. Dre and Eminem and Mary J. Blige and Kendrick Lamar, 50. Rihanna will probably be pretty good for her fan base as well, but that was an awesome halftime show last year, too, with two teams that nobody hated. Everybody with all the Rams, the chips that they had placed in, everybody wanted to see Stafford and Odell Beckham and Von Miller, everybody get their ring. And Bengals went from 3 wins in 2020 to beating everybody, Las Vegas and Cincinnati and Tennessee on the way to the dance last year. But dude, like the playoffs in 2021, 2022, I guess January were perfect. Like there was not a single blowout other than Steelers Chiefs, which everybody expected. Like every game was last drive interception, game winning field goal. Like the playoffs kind of came back down to earth this year because it's hard to repeat what it was last year. But dude, like the NFL playoffs last year were so good.
right. Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting, obviously, both teams same record throughout the season, and yeah, I'm excited. I'll definitely be out and about tomorrow, drinking and eating wings, and
You're not
uh,
21, brother. You shouldn't be saying that on here, unless you are. I
I
could
am
be wrong.
I am 21.
Okay, I thought you were 20. My bad. Okay, go ahead.
Bro, I turned 21 last week or 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, you're. What's your favorite drink so far? Because you've only had like 6.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've only had a couple.
Yeah.
I like Irish car bombs. If anyone's a drink
Now you
person out
just gave
there.
away that you have been drinking.
I like Irish car bombs or
A 2-week drinker wouldn't know what that is. I don't.
probably
So
probably an Irish car bomb. I had a lot of those on my 21st. That um
are you a screwdriver? Are you a Moscow Mule guy? Those are drinks my
I'm
parents
not
like.
really a big screwdriver guy.
My
I've had
parents
it.
like
It's
those.
all right.
So
Yeah, screwdriver's all right. I like Irish car bombs. Trying to think what else do I really like. Usually, I get the little fireball shooters because they're like 99 cents. So I go to like the store and get those. But yeah, tomorrow it'll be nice. Gonna go out to a bar, get some good food. I'm sure the bar is gonna be popping. A lot of Eagles fans, I'm sure, because Northeast come to Florida. And maybe there are some Kansas City fans. We'll see. But I'll be wearing my Bills attire, so I'm ready. Yeah, it's gonna be a very fun Super Bowl.
I consider myself a good kid. I have never smoked. I've never vaped. I've never done any sort of drug. I only drank one time. It's because I was in Cancun and it was legal, and I tried a couple things and I wasn't a big fan of them. So just put it out
Yeah,
there.
I don't smoke, so I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm just a drinker. I mean, listen, when it comes to these, vapes and stuff, I play sports. I go to the gym. I mean, I can't be doing that stuff.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I think that's a good place to end the show. Don't do drugs, stay in school, and Super,
Exactly.
Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow. We'll be back. One more labor off-season show, and then it's time to play ball, guys. So yeah, for Hayden and Blake and here at Longball Podcast, you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you guys soon.